Not all that wander are lost. But let's be honest, some of us kind of are. For most people, the search starts with incense or finding some social media coven. But for many, it started when life fell apart. The church had no answers. The world felt hollow, and the soul started to ache. For serious seekers, the journey doesn't start with witchy memes. It starts in silence, in illness, grief, betrayal, burnout. The ache you feel is sacred. It means something deep inside of you remembers that life is supposed to feel connected. You might be drawn to tarot or candles, but those are tools. They're not the path. They're what marks you as a beginner. Paganism is about honoring the earth, healing both people and spirit, restoring balance. If you feel more at home in forests than in pews, if your chest stirs when someone mentions Bridget or Freya or Isis, your ancestors are calling. Right now, you're seeing a swirl of spiritual options. Wicca, Celtic reconstruction, Norse reconstruction, Druidry, Kemeticism, Hellenism, shamanism. That's not confusion. It's the beginning. You're not supposed to know it all right away. The question isn't what's right for me. It's what speaks to my bones. Here's what I suggest. Let's go over some of the pagan traditions. It is impossible to name every single one out there. And in each culture, there are also many traditions within that culture. So let's say together now, out loud, I am open to the path that is mine. Show me what I need to know. Every day, get up and do that. Don't look for answers. Look for rhythms. Write them down in a notebook. Listen to conversations. See what symbols or signs are in nature. Which path is calling you? Wicca honors a god and a goddess, often seen as literal deities tied to nature, cycles, and polarity. They believe that each culture has called them many names, each depicting individual personalities, traits, and stories. Many see those two as a triple goddess and a triple god, each representing different phases of life. Ritual tools like the athame, chalice, pentacle, and wand are linked to the four elements and brought together as a toolkit that is unique to Wicca, but each on their own do show up in older traditions. They celebrate moon cycles and the wheel of the year with 8 Sabbats. They have disciplined practices, including casting a circle, calling quarters, invoking deities, closing or grounding, and the eightfold path, not to be abused. Wicca includes structured initiatory traditions which branched off of the Gardnerian, then Alexandrian, then Alsgard lines, with lineage and degrees. Night Faces tradition comes off of the Alsgard line, but all of Wicca came originally from Gardnerian. It's not a commandment, but a deeply internalized ethic, and it harm none, do what you will, that comes from Wicca, based off of an older saying by Aleister Crowley. There is a ritual nudity called skyclad. It is also not in all of the lines. Modern Wicca originated in a culture that emphasized heterosexual polarity, male and female energy, as the foundation of ritual power because Gardner saw magic as flowing from the union of masculine and feminine forces. While early Wicca focused on binary polarity, goddess and god, many traditions since the 1980s now honor gender as a spectrum of sacred energy. Starhawk, whom I've met, helped shift Wicca into a radically inclusive, activist, LGBTQ plus affirming path. Celtic paganism. Celtic deities are tied to specific land, water, or sky places, so they are not meant to be worshipped outside their land-rooted context. The Celts had sovereignty rituals to honor each area as a living being, which was their gods and goddesses. Irish examples. Bowen is the River Boyne in Ireland. The Morrigan is Sliabh na Cailleach in County Meath. For the Welsh, Arianrod is Caer Arianrod, which is a tidal island off of North Coast Wales. Bran, or Bron the Blessed, is in Tower Hill, London. Cailleach is Ben Cruachan in Argyll. Breed, which is the Scottish version of Brigid, is the sacred hearths and wells across the Highland, especially Kildare. The Gauls, which is the France and surrounding areas, have Sukelos, who is Bibracta, or Mont Bavru, Burgundy, France. Nantosuelta is the Alsace-Lorraine region near the Moselle River. Iberian Celts from Spain and Portugal. Nabia is the Minho River region, northern Portugal and Galicia. Reue is central Portugal, associated with the Tagus River and Listanian lands. So, gods often appeared as animal-bodied, shape-shifting, or hybrid forms, not humanized like in classical art. Early Indo-European and pre-Celtic traditions fully accepted animal form deities as sacred. Usually it would be the animal around where the clan or tribe was living that was honored. The divine is relational. It's not about worship. In other words, gods are not worshipped as superior beings by the Celts, but as co-creative forces deserving of mutual respect. They believed spirit is present in all things: land, stars, rivers, animals, ancestors, their sacred kin. They did bardic rites, fire festivals, and poetic wisdom was considered a sacred duty. Vows and oaths are made at sacred wells, trees, or stone circles, depending on the group you join, and they're seen as living, inhabited beings. So the Celts celebrate bardic rites, fire festivals, and poetic wisdom were their sacred duties. There's also the Ovates, or Vates as some call them, and the Druids. These were all the priestly class, but there's many other occupations that deserve respect in the Celtic tribes. Poetic trance practices allowed bards to receive divine insight through fasting and chewing sacred meat and then entering altered states. Some modern groups do the same, depending again on your occupation. They believed in ancestral rebirth, reincarnation into tribal lines if possible. Some druids and bards were believed to walk between the worlds, a resonance that many queer and gender-diverse seekers now reclaim. Norse paganism. Gods like Odin, Thor, Freya are honored through offerings, oaths, and sacred storytelling. Gender fluidity is part of an older practice. The gods dwell in two realms: Asgard, the home of the Aesir, and Vanaheim, the home of the Vanir, representing cosmic law and natural fertility. Sacred boasting rituals are done to build spiritual strength, accountability, and community honor. Meetings called blots are where they make oaths and honor ancestors while passing a horn. They believe the soul is multi-layered. They have hugur, which is the mind, hamr, which is form, fylgja, which is spirituality, hamingja, which is luck, und, which is breath and spirit, and there are more. Land spirits are called landjatir. These are elves and ancestors that are honored at specific locations. They use runes, staffs, and symbols like Mjolnir, which is Thor's hammer, used for both blessing and cursing, but only for the good of the tribe. They have very strong virtues they uphold, and breaking an oath is spiritually damaging. It disrupts your weird, or fate, they say, and it's taken very seriously. It's not just a social contract, so don't join one and then decide not to. Make sure this is where you want to be. They have cursing poles like the Nithstang that are sacred ritual acts of consequence, not casual anger. Their ethics are rooted in courage, loyalty, and truth. With shapeshifters like Loki and magic-crossing gods like Odin, Norse path holds a space for gender variance and queer spirit. Hellenism, or Greek paganism. They focus on beauty, devotion, order, and daily household rituals, usually by the hearth, and only on special occasions do they go to larger temple offerings. Greek gods are honored in their specific aspects or epithets, such as Athena Parthenos, the virgin strategist, Hecate Phosphoros, or light bringer, or Dionysus, the liberator. They are seen as divine beings with very distinct roles, personalities, and cosmic functions, not archetypes. Wisdom, guidance, protection, ecstasy, or transformation. Each has an energetic responsibility within the universe's order. The divine is approached through refinement, art, and poetic reverence. Ritual purity is crucial when following this path. Washing, fumigation, sprinkling, and burning sulfur are done before all sacred acts. There are secret rites of libations with their secret recipe of wine, oil, and honey that are poured, and there are a precise order which prayers, hymns, and postures are done. Temples are less common in modern day, so the hearth is the original altar. Queer and gender fluid deities like Dionysus and Hermaphroditus offer powerful mirrors for the LGBTQ practitioners as well. Ancient Egyptian beliefs. Statues are not symbolic for these practitioners. They are literally considered vessels for the gods for their daily rituals. The relationship with gods is living, not casual or aesthetic, but intimate and structured. Daily rites reenact creation, waking, purity, feeding, clothing, praising, and closing the shrine for the night for these statues and practitioners. It's a living relationship, not occasional worship. On top of the daily rituals, others include the opening of the mouth ritual and solar devotion, which are dawn and dusk rituals. Heka is their sacred speech, and Mayat is the living force of truth, justice, balance, and harmony, the cosmic law that holds the world together. These aren't just their moral ideals, they are sacred laws of the cosmos. Animals like cats, ibises, crocodiles, and bulls are living embodiments of deities. They were mummified and buried with full honors and were considered incarnations of specific gods. Thus, there is an afterlife focus, offerings, and ancestral honor in modern day. Kemetic gods often blended masculine and feminine traits, reflecting again a sacred fluidity embraced by modern practitioners. Siberian traditions. This is where we get the word shaman from. These can include Tengrinism, Altai, Buryat, Yakut, Evenki. Spirits of animal, land, and ancestors are seen as powerful beings. Their cosmos is often layered with upper world, middle world, and underworld, just as the Celts do. And each layer has its own spiritual beings or guardians. The communication and offerings are central to these spirits, often more so than the gods in a Western sense. Their creator gods are Tengri, the Sky Father, and Etugen, Mother Earth. He is not worshipped in the Western sense, but respected as the overarching balance of the universe, the order of the natural world, fate, and ancestral harmony. And Etugen is not below him, but in equal balance, a source of life, nourishment, and fertility. Having said these names, different clans or tribes each call them something different. Following this trend, if you are of this descent, they love drumming, dancing, and trance, which is used for healing and spiritual journeying. Their sacred tools include iron amulets, drums, and mirrors for protection or divination. Roles are specialized. Not everyone is a shaman or a healer. That's the same with any culture. Spirits are treated as powerful and real, not a metaphor or myth. Slavic or Eastern European folk paths. This is a wide range of people, including Ukraine and parts of Russia at one time. Their faith is called Rodnovery. They also have non-binary or queer practitioners, especially those blending traditional folk practices with inclusive spirituality. They include magic, protective charms, seasonal bonfires, and folk rituals with their practices. They have deep ties to revering house spirits like the Domovoi, ancestors and nature beings, with bread, offerings, and candles. Their deities like Perun, Mokash, or Veles are honored in some regions. They often tie to fertility, earth, weather, and the dead. However, practitioners have less emphasis on the grand theistic worship and more on the day-to-day offerings and seasonal cycles. Females divine through wax mirrors and water for love, rites for seasonal cycles or home-based, while the men used birds, horses, bonfires or fire, sacred tools, or dreams to receive omens. They're less about formal temples and more about family, hearth, and seasonal rhythm. Animism is central. Everything has a spirit, not just named gods. Some shamans were gender diverse, embodying both masculine and feminine roles as a bridge between the worlds. Indigenous worldviews. Land is a conscious elder. Spirit honor comes through listening, not claiming. You must build slow, real relationships with living traditions. It's not for outsiders to borrow, but to witness and respect, especially because it still exists today. Rather than gods in the Western sense, many indigenous people see spirit as present in all things: animals, rivers, stars, ancestors, and the land itself. You will notice the parallels with the Celtic and Viking traditions. Some nations have named spirit beings or cultural heroes, but most honor the sacred as something relational, not hierarchical. Spirit is not worshipped, but interacted with through mutual respect. Many of these cultures include two-spirit or gender-diverse people as sacred, honored, not excluded in the community's spiritual life. And the last I'll talk about today is the eclectic paths. Now, they gather from many traditions based on what feels right for them. They often lack structure, training, or rooted context. It's a high risk of cultural overreach or spiritual surface skimming. It can be a start, though, but should evolve into something deeper. It's not the same as reconstruction. It must be accountable and not aesthetic. Eclectic seekers have no one way to view the gods. They're all different. Most are solitary. They may choose gods from multiple cultures based on personal resonance. Some see deities as symbolic or archetypical, while others believe in literal divine beings. Beliefs vary widely, from animism to polytheism to pantheism, depending on what's parts of other traditions that they've embraced or blended together. I strongly encourage either finding a Wiccan coven or a path that aligns with your own cultural roots and your ancestors. Why I say this is because Wicca gives you a baseline. You don't have to stay Wiccan, but it's really great to use it as a starting point because it teaches discipline, and then from there you can gain your power and then move on as you grow. Not everybody's beliefs stay the same. I know I've changed my beliefs 3 times in my life as I learn more, and that's okay, but you have to start from somewhere. There is shared core concepts across many ancient paths, like the 3-world cosmology. It's found in Celtic, Siberian, and Indigenous traditions. Norse is fairly similar, although they have 9. We all have a world tree. There is spiritual clothing and charms. Many of the beliefs do. There's mediator roles, druids, fates, healers, judges, seers. I'm here to bring the bones back to the gods, to show people the shape of the path. Too many people get the glossed over versions of most pagan paths. They'll just sum it up like, this is an earth-based path where we honor the elements and like the divine feminine. Websites and influencers often offer phrases like that, but they say absolutely nothing useful. So you can't really, I know how hard it is for you guys out there. And people deserve more than a vague inspiration. They deserve a path where they can walk, where you can really see the differences. And I hope I'm helping you with this now. If you're pulled to hear these ancestors and gods, if you have a calling, you're not crazy, you're not flaky, you're waking up. Even if the path is still misty, the fact that you're listening means you've already begun. A real path isn't about becoming someone else. It's about remembering who you were before the world told you to shrink.